Deciding now.
I paid the fool.
My CPU is a neural net processor, a learning computer.
Look at it. Start wrong.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it.
Crypto just started puffing its chest out on the exact day we predicted from about 10 days ago, December 6th. And in this video, we're going to disprove all this talk going around, oh, Jesse's the GOAT, because I can assure you, while all of our trading plans have actually, literally, this isn't an opinion-based thing. This is a fact. We are crushing all the other callouts on not just social media, but a lot of times the picks and trading plans that we're coming up with and executing, they're actually the best possible trading plan in all of crypto out of tens of thousands of possible picks, even worming through these unheard of meme coins. Our trades are coming out on top. And the reason behind this has nothing to do with me. It's all because of these managed learning systems, standard operating procedures, which incorporate into it the data that we're going to be talking about today. Monetary policy. If we want to have a lot of something, we've got to understand it in detail. So knowing how the monetary and currency system works, the more in-depth to that rabbit hole we go, we'll see immediately Satoshi was correlating Bitcoin's design directly to it, weaving the two together. So as crypto investors, we indefinitely automatically become interested in the financial system, FOMC data, things along this line. Without a doubt. Part of the information and data set that we're getting our hands on came from the Wall Street Bets car Roaring Kitty, as I've showed on previous uploads. I was in the GameStop trade 90 days ahead of time inside Roaring Kitty's VIP group. This has nothing to do with any individual skill set. It's really about understanding the information. And as we cruise around social media right now, we see tons of different narratives going on, and a lot of them are good, secondary catalysts. But at the end of the day, as once again, we've called it to the exact day, to the letter, when the market was going to start to puff its chest out as Bitcoin passes the 100K. We just have a repeating trendline system here, this very accurate Fibonacci pitch, 93 and 86K predicted to be resistance and support levels. Fast forward, of course, price bounced right off of it, and this Fibonacci tool has kind of been highlighted as accurate. This will help us a lot when we're incorporating monetary policy and when to sell. Kaspa, right now, starting to surpass one of its repeating x-axis trend lines, getting super bullish. But first, before we get into the TA, we break down the fundamentals, the monetary policy, what's been driving it. And very similar to this bunny hop that everything just took, rewind 2 weeks ago. Inside VIP, we're saying, yeah, this is your last chance to get Moonwell at a swing low right now. Because we know this secret sauce. We understand the managed learning system. What was about to happen that made us think, besides this 5-day triangle, why are we buying Moonwell right here? Because of monetary policy. The FOMC is about to drop the minutes. It's a document that officially states the FOMC's last meeting. This entire rip to the upside, for those of you guys who are perhaps new to the show and don't know anything about monetary policy, all of this rip to the upside, starting here on September 18th, this is the total 3, all the altcoins put together. That's all from FOMC meeting, because what they did was they said, congratulations, we're going to have a bull run. So what happened today was they released the jobs report. This goes hand in hand with your FOMC monetary policy. Why? What's going on here? What the FOMC does, that means this guy right here. You've seen him on TV. He's Jerome Powell. He's the head of the central banks. Exactly what Bitcoin is meant to stand up to. Let's get this Fibonacci tool out of the way here and zoom out. So when they created Bitcoin, they designed it like a monetary sponge. See these arrows right here? This is for the Bitcoin halving in gold. Bitcoin halving happened here every 4 years. We all know that. What nobody includes with that, but is even more important, is the fact that the FOMC will cut the interest rates every 4 to 5 years, parallel with the Bitcoin halving. This is part of Satoshi's design. And this rabbit hole goes way, way deeper. We'll touch base with it more on this episode. But from knowing this and realizing it, we're able to attach on-chain data. And this is how we've been crushing the markets, waiting for the rates to finally cut, knowing that it would rocket everything to the upside, getting us an epic trading plan. So right here, when everything was still collapsing, right before the September 18th go, and this is super important because pretty soon, you guys, if you haven't used all your dry powder yet, use it. Because in 90 days, we're going to be buying everything up high. It's going to be way more risk on, and now it's going to be time for the leverage trader. And we've already started incorporating these tactics and methods inside group. So this is render. Final buying opportunity. Back to the total 3 chart. The fundamentals on top of this falling wedge here, very simple. Powell delayed the rate cuts. This is getting everybody nervous about the bull run. So once he finally does it, it springs to the upside. So we're like, yeah, render at 5. And there was falling wedges all over the place. There was falling wedges on Solana at 130, AVAX at 25. But specifically render. Now, because this is a falling wedge, we know immediately we've got our fundamentals. That's the real driving factor here. But what these classic patterns are showing us, and one of the reasons why we've been able to execute these extremely effective trades, is because we're incorporating very simple technical analysis, which shows the market psychology. They're selling, they're nervous about monetary policy. And then once that flips the switch, now it's breaking to the upside. So we got a little uppity here on render to $7. 777 was when we released this trading plan. And we were like, oh yeah, right here, 4x. Fast forward, you got your 4x leverage. You're totally fine. You were never under any sort of stress for liquidation. You could have bumped it up more, but as we move deeper into the cycle, back here is when we were doing the 10x leverage trades. That's how we really cut our teeth and got this channel going, was with our 10x leverage trades. As we're getting deeper into the bull rally, the market's got more money coming in. It's more volatile. You want to back off a bit on how much leverage you're using. You don't want to lose any trades. You just want to use the leverage, borrow the money. So everybody's taking profit between 11 and 12 inside our trading plans. Had it all scaled out, obviously massive resistance right there. And that was from when it was back at 5. Desync. This is an Alex Becker pick. So on top of just understanding, okay, rate cuts are going on, there's some on-chain data. This is what the majority of crypto dives into. We do full 24-point reports covering the details about a project that connected to monetary policy. This makes actionable trading information. A great example of actionable trading was when the Bank of Japan carry trade went down. We're looking at step 15. Do we got any projects in Japan? Yes, we do. Matrix Fire, we picked it up at 50 cents, went up to $2 and some change. So great example of 24 different actionable points to research. You can research endlessly on crypto and not get anything to trade off of. This is one that I actually wish that I picked up. Right now, the final sector to kick off, and this is kind of weird because for any of you OGs in this cycle, guys that were around 500 days ago, you remember when the Kaspa content creators, they kind of all jumped on CG's bandwagon and they started coming up with GFAL, Lit Labs, and all these gaming picks. We were doing videos saying, oh, dude, we're going to get wrecked. This is way too early for GameFi. And the community was not having that. Fast forward to now, yeah, all of those sold off because GameFi needs this rate cut to get stimulated. Well, why is that? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does. Think about it. They need to build development teams, borrow money to market their games. They need to be able to borrow cheap money to rock and roll in GameFi. So here's a classic NACA. This is our trading plan. You pick it up at $1. We're at $1.60 right now, and we've got a classic pattern, broadening wedge. So there were some add-ons right here when we were starting to break this level, right around 135. Buying low, adding on, and ripping. We were the guys who got in on the rock bottom on Moonwell. We were planning to buy this as early as June or July. Scheming up to get in on Moonwell. We were in originally starting to try to buy it around 2.5 cents, right around that FOMC meeting, knowing it was going to cut. This was a very clever swing lows in on the Moonwell. Right now, Moonwell, absolutely rocketing to the upside. Spectral, we have a full 24-point report on this. Right after we got our last buy alert in, it suddenly rocketed on Thanksgiving all the way up to $19. Leading swing trade, super good. Everybody liked to catch that one. So what just took place and what's about to happen is the FOMC jobs just dropped, and next up is the meeting. And this meeting is very crucial because they're going to update the dot plots. This is the quarterly meeting where they come in and they make their big projections. What we're looking at right here, and this is why the entire market started kicking off so powerfully with a focus on DeFi, also AI because of the regulation changes. See these numbers back here? The bottom was what the last quarterly projection was. They weren't thinking about doing very big rate cuts. The last meeting that went down September 18th, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to be cutting rates hard. And as they cut rates, that's what creates this fueling upside. Not just in cryptos, also in stock market. It's the same thing on stocks, same exact 4-year cycle. Looking at Tesla, right? It's the same exact thing. It peaked. Tesla peaked at the same time Bitcoin did. How bizarre is that, right? February 10th. We were just looking at Bitcoin. It was February 20th, and it's all because of the rate cut cycle. Look at it again. Bitcoin's running up. They started cutting rates. Guess what it did to the stock market? Started ripping it to the upside. As I was saying, I picked up all of this stuff in Roaring Kitty's VIP group. So very useful stuff, and it translates into anything. Anything that has to do with money. In order to make money, we've got to understand it completely. So the catalyst that just took place today is there was an update in the jobs data. The Fed's mandate is they need to keep the prices of everything at a reasonable amount. They can't create inflation. Ever since they started this fiat system, it's this giant juggling act, and they have to make sure that the employment is going. Those are the two things that they watch out for. Those are the two things that they're accountable for. So as investors that already have their bags packed, what we want is for the Fed to see a weakening labor market. This will give them more incentive to cut and put money on the street, fueling the economy. It's that fiat monopoly game that they play. It was kind of a mixed bag in the readout today. The key point that came across, and we'll be breaking this down inside VIP, it's that above the shoulders, very numbery. Usually it's easier to digest when you read it than see it on video. But one of the big takeaways was unemployment is actually up just a smidge. But as we start breaking down some of these other charts, here's a great one right here. So this is the unemployment rate, and this is an awesome time to learn investing because we can look back and see how amazing of the interwebs of monetary policy and risk on assets work based on the COVID crisis, the lockdowns. Unemployment spikes through the roof right when these lockdowns happen. So what does the FOMC do? They cut rates from 1.5% all the way down to 0. And simultaneously, it's not just all about rate cuts. This rabbit hole goes much deeper. There's also the FOMC balance sheet. This is their monopoly banker board. We're playing Monopoly here, just like that poker game in the beginning. We're playing against the central banks, the investment banking class, the BlackRocks, the Horowitz VCs. And these guys are really driving the car. There's also the miners, the whales, and retail. There's a whole bunch of players sitting at this table. What happens right here, right in February, as they started hacking rates down, this massive spike, this is called quantitative easing. And this is very important because it's about to change. The quantitative cycle is about to shift. Now, we think the jobs data was a big deal. Wait until they stop quantitative tightening. So what this means is in the monopoly game, the way that it works is bonds. You can see right here how much of what they own, and their biggest holdings is they have $1 trillion in 1-year bonds. The next biggest is the 10-year bond. This chart is about the 1-year bonds, and you can see as they cut rates, they're no longer paying people to hold their money. Let's say you're BlackRock. They're trying to get money off the street. This way it kind of diffuses inflation. Just because they printed it doesn't mean it can raise prices because they're holding it all in their monopoly bank. So what they'll do is they'll go, hey, BlackRock, we're going to offer you 5% a year. Give me 20 million bucks and I'll give you 21 million back in a year. And they say, deal. This is backed by the federal government. This is as good as it can get. Zero risk, 5%. They're taking that all day. So what they did here was they said, yeah, well, we ain't giving you anything anymore. And simultaneously, they start buying these bonds off BlackRock. So BlackRock's holding all of the promissory notes. They don't have the money. The money's in the monopoly board to save inflation. They've got the bonds and they're saying, well, give us the monopoly money. We're going to buy Park Place. They get the monopoly money and now it's on like Donkey Kong, and they'll buy stocks, cryptos, and it causes the bull run, stimulates the economy, creates jobs. So this is a drop in the bucket compared to what's going to go down when the FOMC stops quantitative tightening, because they're still doing the exact opposite of what they did after lockdowns. See this spike up right now, it's on a downslope. All they've done is they've backed off. So they're still taking money off the street. They're like, give us your money and we'll give you yield, right? They're paying them. And this is starting to decrease in Q1. It's going to halt. So they'll stop buying money. That's going to mean there's more money on the street and it needs a home. For investors of the top tier like BlackRock, these guys aren't as interested in making money as they are protecting the money they have at that level of the game. It just automatically comes to you. And fighting inflation is one of their number one tasks. Crypto is a great way to do that. Hence Moonwell, which actually indirectly offers yields itself. We have an entire Moonwell category inside VIP, scrolling way down to the watch list. When we originally figured out it was going to be hot was like in June. And then we started scheming to buy it right around FOMC meetings. How would you have liked to have this trading plan in front of you? That's already water under the bridge. What's important is that now you know this on-chain data, a lot of it's inside the 24 points, connects to monetary policy. And artificial intelligence can help you out a lot. Artificial intelligence isn't biased. It knows everything. Don't be afraid to run it by AI a couple times. Any trade that you're going to make, run it by AI. Yeah, so Moonwell, direct competition to the bond market. Once this goes, the rates go down, they're like, dude, I can get 6% at Moonwell. Why don't I just buy $20 million worth of Moonwell and stake it for a year? Who needs the bonds? And that's great for the project. You're welcome. Well, it's important for you guys to learn this so you can pass the torch on. You know, it's really hard. I hear you guys talking about the Peach Fuzz Mafia. This whole entire niche is very targeted towards a younger generation who's familiar with social media, audio, video skills. There's that one guy who sold his Kaspa for Solana who wears theater makeup when he's on camera. Right? Very handsome young guy. The thing is, I'm not always going to be able to make videos. This channel's probably going to shut down eventually because I've got bigger fish to fry than helping everybody out on YouTube. I did this originally because my daughter's that age where they think YouTube's so cool. And she's like, yeah, do one. Come on, you got to do one. So, plus, I mean, I have some free time. But this is passing the torch on to you guys. So you'll learn Roaring Kitty's secret. It really had nothing to do with, this is a GameStop add-on. Notice that date, January 13th. The short squeeze was just a small piece of the greater puzzle. It was actually the fact that all of these bonds, the one-year bonds were going to unload. Look at that. February 14th, right? 1 year later, these are the one-year bonds. February 20th. You see that? So that GameStop add-on was taking place like back here on Bitcoin. And on GameStop, it was right before it absolutely moonshot it. So this is, you guys are going to pass the torch to you to know all these tricks. And Kaspa, oh my God, while we've been talking, Kaspa has rocketed up. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. I've been hearing all of these conspiracy type theories, and I'm sure you guys have too, about, oh, it's MEXC. They've been putting in these huge sell orders and everything from Timbuktu to we're blaming it on you has been going on in the Kaspa community. Some of those theories actually make sense, but it's only a matter of time before the powers that be let this run. What we do know with Kaspa, let's jump into some technical analysis. So we just did the fundamentals, okay? We're not even looking at the chart. We're looking at my face. Nobody wants to see my face. Okay. Look at that. We've got some upside since this video started. So we know the fundamentals, what's going on. Kaspa's starting to pump up because this jobs data came down the line. Going one step farther, you guys remember the FOMC minutes that we were talking about that caused that Moonwell pump at 62 hay pennies? That's because they released the minutes. And inside this document, they already say, it's written on this document, we're cutting rates in December. We're not going to dig it up, but it's right in there. So this rate cut in December is going to be bullish, stimulating Kaspa. Now, to incorporate this into on-chain data, we can look at the AVAX historic chart. And this is how everybody knows we shorted Kaspa, okay? We shorted Kaspa here. We've been planning it the whole time because we are able to incorporate on-chain data to monetary policy. What we mean by that is this. Let's look at AVAX from the last cycle. So there's that GameStop run up, right? Right after the 1-year bonds unlocked, the Fed's doing quantitative easing. They're putting money on the street. BlackRock and their merry men are trying to fight inflation. They're buying crypto hand over fist. Look at what happened to AVAX. It went from 60 to 11. That hurts. It was actually 9 and some change. 60 to 9. That is a swing. What was going on right here in this round bottom pattern, they're building Trader Joe, which means that your VCs like Horowitz and Co. This is the guy that was on Joe Rogan the other day. He owns his own VC. He's one of the godfathers of the modern search engine. They share a bag with Polychain Capital, one of the VCs from Kaspa. Interestingly enough, they don't say anything about Polychain on the Kaspa homepage. So for all we know, that dude that was on Joe Rogan's the other day, Horowitz, he might be in on Kaspa. For all we know. That makes total sense. And inside the 24-point reports, step number 9, we have a list of the top 30 highest performing VCs. Obviously, Polychain's one of them. Yes, XRP is pumping. And we covered why this is in that Anderson Horowitz thing. They're ISO 222 certified, which means they are officially allowed to do bank-to-bank transfers. Right here. ISO 222 cryptos, XRP, ADA, sound familiar? XLM, all of these projects were running. And when we jump over to the KII's YouTube channel and you watch videos, they directly say, oh yeah, we're attaching Warp Core, which is one of their products that's going to be released in Q1. Warp Core is ISO 220 certified, and it's technologically better than XRP. Some food for thought on how amazing the Kaspa pump is going to be with the KII's help. Without the KII, we wouldn't be nearly as bullish on Kaspa. But guess what? We've got the KII.
I pity the fool.
So it's like that. Let's look at XRP. I want to see this, how hard this is pumping. And this is all because of regulation. Oh, wow. That's beautiful, huh? Nice rip. This is all because they're changing regulation, Operation Choke Point 2.0. So I own a crypto mining LLC. You can't get a bank account for this. You can't get insurance against anything crypto. They've debanked it. Even though it's legal, the government is oppressing you. And what that Joe Rogan podcast was all about, with this guy, the godfather of modern search, basically like invented the first Google. This guy's like, I'm in the White House all the time because I'm the chief baller of the entire techno world. He's like, they're stopping growth. They're turning it into communist China, but they're backing off all of this. JD Vance has been groomed by the PayPal mafia. He worked with these VCs around PayPal for years before really stepping up as a candidate. Oh yeah, let's not get sidetracked here. Fetch AI looking hot. We've got a trading plan for Fetch in there somewhere too. Recognizing that it was going to see some good upside. And like we were saying in the beginning, it's pretty easy to pick a winner right now. When you're really crushing it is when the projects you pick are the top tier and, more important, you understand why it's happening. And this rabbit hole goes even deeper. Inside VIP, we actually pull up the bond auctions for quantitative tightening. So we're looking at, are they doing 1 year, 10 year? How many billions of dollars is going into it? And this, right at the end of this falling wedge, while the rates were still high, right before the cut happened, we were able to find an auction right here. So see, it runs up into the auction and then diverts cash away. We found another auction here. And so we are able to make actionable trades off of this like super fruity details, like really mustardy above the shoulder stuff. There's a clip of the last bond auction. But since the Fed's been cutting rates, the rates are going down. It's less effective. This is the thing, guys. Congratulations to everybody. You deserve a round of applause. You've bought crypto on the low because anything you got right now, you won. Here's the real challenge. Sell it at the right time. Oh, this is buying. It's easy. Anyone can buy it. Selling it. And the reason why people are getting constantly wrecked with selling too early, or I'm not going to say any names, but I remember people from the last cycle, while it was ripping to the downside, Fed's hiking rates right here, and they stop quantitative easing right on this peak. There's an FOMC meeting right there, just to show you how important the FOMC stuff is. Then the government steps in and they start doing crypto regulation here. And somebody in our niche community was going, great discount, buy the dip. Love to see those red days. And I was like, oh no, this guy's just walking into it, right? And he had to learn his lesson the hard way. Most people don't know about this stuff because the prior crypto cycle, from a monetary policy standpoint, was warp speed Captain Zulu. You're getting zero interest rates, full blast quantitative easing. So nobody paid attention to it. And they developed an enormous pile of bad trading habits. When's it going to be listed on this new exchange? Those are secondary catalysts. They're important, but particularly with Kaspa, the halt of quantitative tightening, super important. So we understand the fundamentals. We got sidetracked right there. Let's get into the technical analysis. All right, we'll get into altcoins in a second, and we'll do Bitfini first. We got to jump into some of this TA. Staying on track, or else we'll be completely sidetracked. Kaspa's seen some juicy upside since we even started this video, getting up to now 17.5. This is great. Okay, we're right at this prior local swing high. What we're looking at here is a setup known as the repeating trendline system, aka origin trend lines. This doesn't just work on Kaspa, this works on all crypto projects. With Bitcoin, these callouts that we showed in the beginning with 86 and 93, that's a repeating trend line system on Bitcoin. It works on Tau. It's completely game changer once you really recognize it. Speaking of Tau, somebody was asking if they should close the swing trade yesterday here. We're getting up to a higher level now. Just to show you these repeating trend lines super fast here, and then we'll jump back to Kaspa. Ready? We posted this in VIP here. Bounces off golden pocket, resistance support, all throughout these levels. All we did was clone this one because it's a repeating phenomenon caused by the halving and emission schedule. Look at these trend lines. It's the exact same thing. X-axis, X-axis. You see that? And right now we're at a new resistance level. We've got about 100% size from the symmetrical triangle. This is when you close Tau and reinvest it into other AI sectors with less market cap. Same exact thing on Kaspa. Repeating trend lines, the X-axis starting here. This trend line keeps cloning and repeating. Utilizing this, this is how we are able to get the Kaspa short sale projections, even from way down here, which were almost spooky with accuracy. Right? We have a whole column for Kaspa leverage trades, and leverage trading has become the more prominent system for trading as everything starts beefing up. So noticing this, look at that. We were predicting on September 9th that on Halloween, Kaspa would be at 12.5 cents. That's pretty creepy accurate. And it's a combination of the technicals and the fundamentals. So see that? Knowing that this X-axis trend line was going to be resistance, we were able to put short sales in all throughout here. Now zooming in to a more local trend, we're running into the X-axis trend line again. And there's some other key trend lines. There's the Y-axis support. See this on the bottom of the cup? Same trend line on the top here. And there's a Fibonacci pitch that we set up earlier connecting it. To save time, we're going to skip that. So we can see right here, this is the original Y-axis support. Right there. Kaspa's first breakout. You clone that, it's everywhere on the chart. Zooming in, we can see this is a symmetrical triangle. That trend line is matching the apex, and it's coming right to the date of December 13th. So this is right around this FOMC. This symmetrical triangle is poised to break out. Now, in our classic pattern directory, this is just like a book from Barnes & Noble, but it's with patterns that just happen in breakouts we recognize. We identified the symmetrical triangle as Kaspa's most common pattern. And it's market sentiment with your symmetrical triangles that shows us how much it's going to break and the percentage of whether it'll be bullish or bearish. So these are like a 50-50. They're not like a falling wedge or a cup and handle or even an ascending triangle. Those are almost guaranteed to be bullish. This one can go either way. And we've got all the details here and in printouts. I spilled coffee on my Excel printout, but we've got every pattern in a printout for your trading journal, just so you can do a quick reference. Like, okay, this is a symmetrical triangle, bing, bang, boom, all the details. So we know because there's going to be rate cuts, this symmetrical triangle in particular, breaking to the upside. Now, remember how it was holding back? That's that X-axis. And whenever you get a rogue breakout, you really just put the X-axis trend line on it and you can find your next levels of resistance. Stops out here, in here. That's exactly how we short sailed Kaspa. Only guys online to do it. Very simple. After we just explained the AVAX thing. The big resistance here is at 18. Once we get above 18, this local swing high from KRC 20 cents is no longer resistance of any notable strength, because the prior times that we addressed 20 cents, we actually were running into that y-axis level. You see that? So it's the illusion of 20 cents. And when we go way back to here, you can watch some of our early videos on Kaspa. We're setting up this Fibonacci pitch. You just go over to your TradingView tools and you grab the Fib channel, set it up, and you're always looking for the maximum number of contact points. This isn't art. This isn't an opinion. There's a wrong and a right way to set these up, just like trend lines, just like repeating trend lines. This is how we had it set up. The golden pocket, resistance, maximum contact points off of it. Fast forward on this, boom. See that? So we're trapped inside of also larger patterns. So this symmetrical triangle is great. This 18-cent level, this is great. Let's look at a new Kaspa TA chart. Okay? This is the big boy right here. This is your one-day. Look at this. It's another one of those classic patterns. This is called the broadening wedge. The bottom is from the Binance futures gamma. Very strange. Binance has futures on Kaspa, huh? This is Marathon Digital and BlackRock protecting their investment in ASICs. It was them who caused all of these earlier rockets, obviously. If they're moving in on something, they're buying it early, and then they launch the mining here. So they pull some strings throughout all this hardcore regulation, the Gary Gensler Carnival of Carnage, and they create this support at 10 cents. They did the exact same thing on Bitcoin. They seed funded it here. They got Coinbase to finally do futures here. This is a broadening wedge. There's these head and shoulder-esque patterns right here. Once we get above that neckline of 18 cents, we'll get right up, and the resistance won't be at 20 like it was here. We'll just blow through 20 and we'll get right to 24, 25. And then that's where the big breakout comes. Your broadening wedge pattern, we got the average statistics on that and loads of examples inside of our stuff. And that's the key to all these different trading plans that we break down. Whether it's Naka Games at $1 as it breaks up to $1.60. We're always linking it to videos. See, these are all links inside that menu screen. So even if you don't take the trade, there's still something to observe. There's something to learn as we're going through. Man, I wish I got some Destra, though. Look at that. That is ripping to the upside. Great project. And we have the full 9-page report on it. So I wrote a 9-page report, built some great trading plans, and this is one of the ones that I didn't get for myself. I'm upset with that. What's actually going to drive that broadening wedge to break out is the quantitative tightening halt. So here's another Kaspa chart showing all of these FOMC meetings. Let's go back to AVAX. So back here in May of 2023, right here, there was an FOMC meeting, and what Powell did was he hiked the rates, meaning that this went up more. They were like, oh yeah, we're going to give you even more money playing that monopoly game we were explaining in the beginning. They're going, oh yeah, we're going to give you these bonds. You give us the money because they're fighting inflation. While this went down, Crypto Daily, Altcoin Daily, Crypto Banter, all of these guys said it was altcoin season. We said, no, it's not. We shorted AVAX. And then right here, see this massive sellout? This happens on the total 3. Right there. That was the last time the Fed hiked rates. This is marking the bottom. So this is something that we can utilize into next cycle. Not only do we have to sell the top, we got to reload for the 2030 peak and everything. Massive bloodbath. While this was all going on, the reason I'm telling this story is because Kaspa wasn't affected. So it was on our watch list from that April rip. But we knew to a certainty that it had massive connection to the bond market, to quantitative tightening and easing cycle, thus connecting it to Satoshi's secret. Roaring Kitty would have approved. Therefore, we pulled the trigger on Kaspa right around this FOMC meeting, loading the bag at 2 cents. Look at all the FOMC meetings. We got the cup and handle ascending triangle here. We know this is a catalyst on the main channel. We had like 3,000 subscribers. We're like, Mayday, Mayday. 10x leverage trade Kaspa right now. 72 hours later, every comment's like, dude, how did you do that? Where's your crystal ball? Open a VIP. So we build the VIP, which took a long time. Putting together all of these systems in a formal, presentable way. Open the VIP during the next FOMC meeting. It's an instant smashing hit. 1 out of 20 subscribers is in the VIP group because they want to get their hands on all this information, not just the awesome trading plans that we've been crushing the market with, actually beating every other trading idea a lot of the times, but the deeper understanding of what's really going on. And this is going to help you sell the top. This is going to change your investment life forever, as it did mine. So FOMC meeting here. Guess what's coming up pretty soon? Switching charts. There's another one of these arrows that seems to make Kaspa go completely nuts. That's going to happen. But the big coup d'etat, we are all like, yeah, 10 BPS upgrade. Simultaneously, the quantitative tightening will stop, meaning that this line will be flat now. And inside the minutes, they talk about this. You want to read about it, you get to this document and you go to the minutes and you can read all about it. So we're in good spot right now and it's about to get even better. Of course, everybody in our VIP group, we got in on leverage trades with Kaspa earlier, so we're sitting pretty right now. This symmetrical triangle breakout is going to lead to other good stuff. And this is the big move, you guys. This is going to put Kaspa back on the map. Once we get above 20 cents, it's going to be Kaspa, all over again. All the doubters will be silenced. And then all the hype will come back that we lost that BOJ carry trade, followed by the KRC20 investment round, diverting capital away just like AVAX did last cycle. And this happens in a lot of different cryptos. AVAX just the great example, right? This is their building Trader Joe's right here. And then the big run happens. That's all that's going on. Kaspa was just ahead of schedule. They're building Trader Joe's right here. Okay, diverting capital away from on-chain. And it's going to rip, dude. And everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon because back in August, right here, people seem to have a very limited memory. Exactly on this day, Kaspa was the 7th best performing project market-wide for the year on that day, because everything else was dumping. Remember? Because there was no rate cuts. Looking at the total 3, everything was trapped in those falling wedges. Solana was at 130. Render was at 5. Remember? Kaspa was just on its own clock. Okay, let's take a look at Bitfinex and do some gem hunting. And we'll talk about different sectors that we can still get on the low. Bitfinex. Okay. Let's take a look. Bitcoin scaling. Okay. 15 million market cap. Volume is way up. Okay, so I already like this because the volume's bigger than the market cap. Whenever you're going to look into micro caps, you want to have huge volume. Absolutely. This actually has a lot of exchanges for something its size as well. You might be able to get this on Uniswap too. Most things you can get on Uniswap. Let me see something here. Okay, oh yeah. Did they just list this? Is this a new listing? Let's go to the tokenomics. Greatest tool, by the way, cryptorank.com. Yeah, so this is a new listing. A lot of unlocks right now. And these are going to last into the fall of 2025. Growth is going to start in February, going into the fall of 2025. Bitfinex operates as a Bitcoin scaling network on the ICP protocol, providing an efficient platform for Ethereum developers to build Bitcoin-enabled. I already think it's a hit. I think this is a great micro-cap gem, just from the surface. And of course, right there, Polychain Capital. So we've got the good VCs that you want to see names like this. This is step 9 in our vetting process. In order to give an official opinion, you got to spend 4 hours going down all these rabbit holes and utilize your 24-point checklist and the other tools that we have at disposal just before you figure out whether it's good. And then there's more checklists to figure out if now's the time to buy it. So inside the printout section, you get a copy of the 24-point checklist and then the 5 key elements of a successful swing trade. These are just connecting it to on-chain data to monetary policy. Oh yeah, and the 84 questions to cut, copy, paste, and ask AI. That's what I wanted to bring up. So to really get a full opinion on any project, you want to spend 2 to 4 hours at a minimum, reading documents, conversing with AI. And so we have different tools to help keep your research on target. Otherwise, you're going to just read the fluff, read stuff that isn't for actionable trades. The 24-point checklist and then its companion, the 84 questions to cut, copy, paste AI will get you started. And then as it pops up, what I'd really like to know about this one, because the VCs are so strong, that's the guy from Joe Rogan's podcast. So it's Joe Rogan and Polychain Capital teaming up as the lead VCs. That's pretty cool. It's a new listing, but what I'd like to look at is the strategic partners, who's using it. Seems to be some kind of US restrictions. That's typical for most crypto. That can go away, which will be a super bullish catalyst. But this, yeah, this is a fine micro cap on the surface. Looks good. Nice find, Blackmore. Not bad. The final sector that's going to rip, GameFi and ZK rollup. This kind of is a makeshift ZK rollup. Let me explain what those are and also what this is, because it all connects into this ongoing narrative. We've been saying the final sector, ZK rollups and GameFi. ZK is a layer 2, so Matic within itself just connects everything to the Ethereum virtual machine. While we're on this topic, everyone knows Jonathan Saplinsky is building native smart contracts for Kaspa. The KII has two different teams that are ready to plug it in directly to the Ethereum virtual machine. Solana does both types of smart contracts, native and into the Ethereum virtual machine. ZK Rollup is a new way to process data faster. As we know, blockchain technology is basically like an accounting system, right? Each block comes out and it says, Joe paid John $5, right? And the blocks keep rolling out. You need smart contracts when you want to start processing more data, like Joe's playing a video game and he threw a Hadouken at John. John's hit points are now down. It's more complex. That's why you need smart contracts, because it's more data to transcribe that. So ZK rollups is like the new awesome smart contract narrative. And so as liquidity is actually injected into the projects as they start ripping to the upside, the ZK rollup will naturally rise itself. GameFi more dependent on the rate cuts because they need to market the games. They need to get people onto the video games playing. And so this is always a late cycle entry because of FOMC data. So those are the two focal points that we can still get on a discount. Now we go any farther up, like after quantitative easing, the discounts are going to be gone like Donkey Kong in 60 days. This is going to look cheap as heck right now. So all the dry powder that I have, I would use immediately into cold storage. There's going to be plenty of time for leverage trading. The thing about leverage trading is it doesn't matter if you're going long or short. Render, great example of how simple technical analysis, when combined with the right fundamental information, is so effective. As we are able to see the big picture here, this is a falling wedge. Inside your printout section, mine has coffee spilled on it, so it's gone, but you can just look at it really quick and I know, oh yeah, the falling wedge is going to do such and such. And of course, we have videos on using that repeating trend line system. Because of the halving and emission schedules, we'll get those repeating trend lines happening over and over again, like on Kaspa with the x-axis, how to incorporate those into your classical patterns to give you even more of an edge. After the quantitative easing, or excuse me, the tightening is over with, and this chart starts to show a flat line, it's going to almost be all leverage trading for profit. In the stock market, this is a fact. More than half of all the volume and action is done through futures, through options, leverage trading. More than half of everything in the stock market is done with leverage. So leverage is an important tool to use, and it's coming into effect now. Once the FOMC stops the bull market, they raise rates or they flip quantitative tightening into full blast later in 2025 or 2026. The last cycle is what we can really speak on. They definitively stopped everything right during this FOMC meeting on November 3rd. This is the total 3 chart. They just said, oh yeah, we're raising rates. You can see this bump to 0.25. Well, 25 points doesn't seem like that much. We're playing poker here, guys, against central banks, BlackRock, and these guys don't play nice, and they signal each other at the table, just like in May. Remember we were talking about in May? They added that smidge of a rate hike right there, and it caused a massive downside because they're signaling. In fact, Jane Street sold all their Robinhood crypto right here. So it was a bloodbath, and it's all done with signaling. So the Fed will signal BlackRock and that guy Anderson, Polychain, they'll give the signal. Market's over. Get your money out. We got to do the flip-diddy-do, fight inflation. We know what it is. So we'll be waiting for it, and then we can turn around and short the market. All those projects that you disliked, now you get to trade them negatively. You can short them. And even projects that you like. So people are always talking about, well, they want to sell their Kaspa and then buy it back at the low. We do not advise doing this, although we drafted it in one of the short sale trading plans. A better approach to doing this, because you avoid paying the tax man as well, because you don't sell, is you leverage trade. So you always hold your cold storage. You're never going to sell that until it's time to take profit. You do what's called delta neutral. So I've got the asset long, but I'm also leverage trading it short. And this causes great protection, particularly when the bull market's peaking, right? Like, you remember this AVAX run? Kaspa might do something like this in the bull run. It might peak, sell off, and then re-peak again. It will help you immensely psychologically to have a short sale position open while you're still holding longs. This is a tactic that the best of the best utilize. Absolutely. So I hear you guys talking about $1. With round numbers, this is something that we just covered inside the Moonwell trading plans. Whenever you get to a round number, people start making the market itself, not us as individuals, but traders make the largest mistakes at round numbers. So we marked somewhere on Moonwell, I guess I can't find it right now, but we knew that that was going to be the case. When Moonwell reached 10 cents, we were like, back off. This is a round number. We started piecing together some of the technical analysis to support this, as well as the fundamentals, seeing downside coming, and we let that ride down until 62 cents. That's when we initiated buying back into Moonwell. So everybody's thinking, oh, we're going to sell at $1. I would think more 90 cents or $1.25. Just try to avoid round number thinking in general. As we go into the bull market, getting that exact $1 mark is going to be tough. But with the gigawatt, looking at XRP and everything, with the on-chain development of KII, we're going to be going into this right around 40 to 50 cent range from that broadening wedge breakout. Then the KII starts dropping gigawatt, warp core. They're competing with XRP. They're doing bank-to-bank transfers, and they have a stable coin that's carbon neutral, perhaps even carbon negative. This is going to be huge. And now, oh, smart contracts are open now. Oh, let's play video games on Kaspa. Oh, let's do real world assets on Kaspa. Let's tokenize a rainforest in South America. All of this stuff starts happening on chain, because the thing here is Kaspa actually has real world use case. In the first minute of our video in VIP, where we explain how to use the 24-point checklist and the 84 copy paste system, we break down how the majority of cryptos are almost like a technological meme coin. Follow me down this metaphor. They're not actually going to get a massive amount of real world use. It's much more like a novelty in testing out the technology, incorporated with finance to help the large players avoid inflation. Very few cryptos actually get a large use case like Ethereum, Solana, BNB, AVAX, and Kaspa. Kaspa gets real world use case. So its upside will not be paralleled with the rest of these hot coins that are up and running, ripping to the upside, because its depth is so much deeper. Truly. So just be prepared to be wowed. Absolutely. Be prepared to be wowed. All right, guys. So awesome day. We got the jobs report in. The big numbers off of it, you can take a look for yourself. The unemployment was up. And also, you'll hear a lot of news pundits when they start going over this data, right? They're on Bloomberg and they're like, blah, 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 blah. They try to make it sound a lot better than it actually is, because this needs to go along. It needs to beat inflation, which is 2%, but it's a lot more than that. These jobs and the amount people have to earn. Oh yeah, we didn't break down these. They've got to outpace the rate that the FOMC was printing money, the M2 supply, across the globe. And so even though their jobs and wages look like they're on the rise, realistically, they're not on the rise fast enough. They need to get this going even higher. And the more we can learn right now about how to read FOMC plots, look at this thing here, how to read the minutes, the summary, the better we're going to do at selling, because the next fundamental data, let's fast forward a year from now, 10 months from now, everything's at its top. What that old guy Powell's going to start doing is they're going to look at warehouse pricing, core inflation, supply chain management numbers. Right now, they're looking at jobs, wages, this. They're going to start looking way more at inflation, and that's going to give them the signal for when they're going to cut and run from this bull market. And so we want to learn this stuff and incorporate it into our trading plans. This is why our VIP group has already started to become renowned on social media as the top performing. It's undoubtedly the most educational and the number one performing. And it's because we're using this information. So we've got managed learning systems, standard operating procedures, to get the true fundamentals and then incorporate it with some very simple and basic technical analysis. So we can see where we're at, when we should take profit, like we just did on the render trade. Noting that the falling wedge on average does a minimum of 150% to the upside, but we're also noticing there's a lot of resistance around this zone. So you know what? They can keep the extra 50%. We're going to take profit right here and then reinvest this into other projects, which is what's going on right now. So AI still on a massive rip to the upside. DEAI. This is the AI agent category. Look at the Bitmark chart. Oh yeah, look at that. It just ripped up to 130. So we've been loading the bag in VIP all throughout this broadening wedge. And even once it got up to 83 on the main channel, we're like, here we go, guys. This is it. And now, look at that. We even got a wick up to prior all-time highs. This is set to go the broadening wedge, average upside 100, so about $1.60. Plus, this could be a cup and handle too. Looking at the total three, projecting how high this altcoin rally can go. In the scenario, this is a cup and handle. It'll go 6 trillion, 5 trillion, just based off the technical analysis of a cup and handle pattern. This rounded bottom. You can also see something like that on Bitcoin. See that? And this looks pretty close to a rounded bottom. So the upside at 160, this can go way higher. We're looking at maybe 2 and some change, low $3 here soon, in 60 to 30 days. So awesome. Awesome time right now to be in the market. Now's a great time to get into the VIP so you can start getting ready for the leverage trading round. Because there's still going to be loads of cash to be made with leverage trading as the next waves of investors come in and as everybody starts leverage trading. Stock market, it's over 50% of action. So good stuff. And I cannot wait until finally we're going to just put all of the Kaspa doubters, all of the Kaspa naysayers in their place as the price completely rips to the upside. We cross 20 cents, we get to the top of the broadening wedge, and then we get our breakout. It's going to be an upside that each and every one of you guys has earned. Whether you finally came to the conclusion that you want to buy Kaspa recently, you've been holding this entire time throughout the dramatic swings, high and low. Just look at the goofballs that sold out of Kaspa. That one kid there, great at social media, terrible at trading. They swapped their Kaspa for Solana of all projects, which is the most likely to have massive issues during this bull run. Right here, and then it breaks out. It's like, wow, thanks for joining the community, pal. So super exciting times. I just can't wait. It's going to be great. And remember, though, while we're on this high note, depending on what happens at the FOMC meeting, be ready because there's a slight chance Powell might decide, hey, let's not raise rates. Or, hey, why doesn't the Bank of Japan step up and do another carry trade? They're not positioned to do that right now. I've done some thorough research on it. There's a lot of political turmoil happening in Japan as we speak. So they're more likely to push back their next rate hike until the next meeting. Not this one in December, but later in January, February. So we should be in the clear from the BOJ. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out this video. We'll catch you on the next one.
Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it.